showed you some pictures of the Baolis just to give an idea what the Baolis look like and what their condition today. So इसमें तो detail discuss भी नहीं करेंगे. These are some of these Baolis. For example, Rajaon ki Baoli is known as after the name of the Rajas and Maharajas. Then you will see some of the slides of Baoli which is known as Gandak ki Baoli. Now, what is the Gandak? Gandak, आपको पता क्या चीज है?
Sulfur.
Sulfur is the Gandak. Yes, so it's known as the Gandak ki Baoli because the water has some admixture of sulfur in it. So generally the water was of yellow color, and because of the mixture of Gandak in the water, it was known as Gandak ki Baoli. And then there is another Baoli which is known as Batisi Baoli. Now, Batisi generally, Batisi simply means 32. In this case, the flight of steps had bifurcation, and that after every 8 steps, there used to be a platform or a break, which was known as a ghat in the local language. And there were 8 ghats. In every ghat, there was 8 steps, and that's why it became known as Batisi Baoli. That is 4 ghats and 8 steps after every ghat. So 8 multiplied by 4, that came to 32. So that was known as Batisi Baoli. So this is the picture of the Gandak ki Baoli, and if you look at the steps and the flight of steps going down, this is a horrible construction. I mean, if the person falls here, he can only go to the bottom of the Baoli, no rescue halfway. He cannot stop anyway. So this is very dangerous, and this is the other side of the Baoli, which is facing the well. Yet another Baoli, this is bad shape. And this is Batisi Baoli. And the description is given here that whatever I told you, that next to each story there are 8 ghats. Ghat is the platform, or the number of ghats total to 32, which was given the name of the Baoli. So there were 4 ghats, and because of in between every ghat, the ghat is just like, you see, when you have the long flight of stairs, after some stairs you give a smooth horizontal platform, which is sometimes you call it a landing. So that landing is in fact is also known as a breather in the way, in our way. Breather means अगर आप चढ़ रहे हैं सीढ़ियाँ तो उस जगह आके आप लेवल जगह आती है तो आपको थोड़ा सा सांस लेने का मौका मिल जाता है. So that in Hindi or in local language is known as a ghat. तो घाट उसको भी कहते हैं जो दरिया का किनारा होता है, उसको भी घाट ही कहते हैं, because that also sometimes becomes a place of rest. In other words, we are talking about the patan, and the patan is also a ghat. तो एक मुहावरा भी है कि धोबी का कुत्ता ना घर का ना घाट का. I hope you understand the meaning of that. Then the function of these Baolis, what were the main function? Main function was obviously, one function was to get the water from the Baoli, and the other function was to enjoy different temperatures at various levels of these Baolis. But then the 2 main functions were to provide water and to store water, 2 methods. And obviously the people used to go to these Baolis to fetch water from there. And fetching water was not easy, going to hundreds of steps down and then coming hundreds of steps upward, carrying pitchers on the head. It was such an enormous, very, very difficult job. Then Baolis were also used for the purpose of not only fetching water, but they were also used for the bathing purposes, and then people taking bath in the water which is so dirty. And it's another bath. And you can look at the construction of this Baoli, how complicated it is. But we'll see some other Baolis are more complicated than this. Yet another one, people are washing themselves and people are washing clothes. While on the sides we have a kind of caravanserais, people could come and stay here. But I wonder there are no barricades for the sake of protection. So this is another picture of these Baolis. These are the pulleys being used to draw the water from the Baolis, and the old method of taking water out of these Baolis. And since the water level keeps on fluctuating in the well, kabhi pani upar aa gaya, kabhi niche aa gaya, so the residents also keep on moving up and down according to the level of the water. And often the lower stories get submerged in water, so the cleanliness becomes a problem. You can see in this case, the lower story is almost in the water. So when the water goes down, you need to clean the Baoli thoroughly. Another picture of the Baoli and then yet another picture of the Baoli and the complicated construction. I wonder how these people were able to make the Baolis like this. You can see a flight of step coming down from here and another flight of step coming down here and they come up here. What happened after this, I don't know. How they were coming to this level. Maybe there is a corridor here and there is a corridor on this side. It's very difficult. Then there were cool retreats. Of course, this is the temperature chart of the subcontinent, starting from January, February, March, April. And during these months, the temperature is very high. And so during these months, the bodies became very, very functional. Now, this was obviously the natural response to the bodies. And the lower we go, the more cooler temperature we get. Then coming to our own areas, the Lausar Baoli, there's a Lausar Baoli in Wakanter area of Pakistan, situated right upward the caves of Shah Aladitta is thought to be constructed by Sher Shah Suri in order to facilitate the caravans moving toward Kabul via Texla. Steps were usually constructed during the regime of Sher Shah Suri, who in order to facilitate the caravans used to construct these wells at the distance of almost 10 kilometers in the passage. I don't agree with the 10 kilometers, too small a distance, is hardly 8 miles. So the construction of bodies at such a small distance must have been a formidable job. But if it did, because Sher Shah Suri did quite a few marvels in the area of not only bodies or architecture, but in the case of civil engineering as well. So I think he could do it. So some more bodies in the Gujarat area of India. Then Akbar at Fatehpur Sikri, when he constructed the city of Fatehpur Sikri, he also built a caravanserai. The caravanserai of Akbar is outside the main city of Fatehpur Sikri. And if you happen to visit that space, you can see this body still existing. And then not only one body, but many wells are there. And each well was functioning as a hammam for the visitors and the people who were staying in those caravanserais. So this is his body. I was talking to you about the landing. This is the landing, steps and then landing and then steps and then landing. It's a very important part of the construction. In this case, we see a landing here and a landing here. And so looking down on the case of one of those houses on the Taj Mahal of Agra. And then some social functions of the Baolis. People go there and use these Baolis for chit chat and reading the newspaper and sometimes as a rendezvous. Rendezvous of something. What is a rendezvous? Rendezvous is a place of gathering, sitting together for a gupshup. So these Baolis became a place called rendezvous. Yet another one, and the elaboration, the bodies are becoming bigger and bigger and bigger and more majestic. And then the colorful rituals. Today, even the rituals are held inside these baulis, and you can say the Indians are dancing in the bauli, and they are celebrating some of their functions. And then the type of the baulis, step wells at Bundi. This is a place. And now, if you have to go down, you start your journey from here, come to this level, then go to this level, and then go this level, and then this level. And if you are bringing water upstairs, then I think you will collapse halfway. You cannot bring the water upstairs. Nevertheless, that was the construction, which is half built and half cut out of the rock. And this is another bauli, which is not a helical, but a kind of helical. Or it should be, we should call it concentric. Steps all the way, all around. And you can see the people used to transport water out of these baulis using a relay system. When I say relay system, This man will give the bucket. This man will give the bucket to this man, and this man will give the bucket to this man, and this will man give the bucket to this man. ये बंदा ऊपर तक नहीं जाएगा, वो bucket को transfer करता जाएगा. Ultimately, bucket reaches outside the Baoli. So that is known as the relay system. As we saw, relay system in the case of the breath system of Darbez Ubeda. So this is the way they use this. कभी आजकल बरातों में जो होते हैं वेटर्स वो पराते इस तरह डिस्कस करते हैं. Then this step Baoli, we have discussed the early condition of the Baoli's flight steps going down, and there are bridges in the way, and then at the end there is the Kuan, and that is the shape of the Baoli. Starting point here, then starting point is over here, then steps, 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 and steps, and steps. And this is Rani ki Baoli, again beautifully done. And another aspect of Baoli. And sometimes the second type of the Baoli was a bit thing like this, that the well is somewhere here or somewhere here. So a flight of steps come this way and one step this way and one flight come this way. And there is a kind of junction here, and then we go down on this level and reach the Baoli level. This is the second type of the construction of the Baolis. Okay. So this is the meeting point, the visual center point, coming steps here and steps here and steps on this side. And this is the junction. And this is yet another. And then the third type is the where this flight of steps is in the form of an L, going down like this. And this is the flight of steps in the form of an L. This is another picture of the same kind. And then the fourth category is when the steps are going down to the water level from four directions, like this, and like this. And this is not exactly circumambulatory because the flight of step is here, unless there is a construction like this underground. But normally the steps are going down to the water level from four sides. And then some more, this is another example of helical valley. This is the example. Now, a person coming down here, I don't know how this person will go to this place because there is no room. And this place is too small, and so a person can fall down. This is more helical, going in the form of a helix to the water level. And this is also in the form of a helix, very dangerous. This is a true helix in this case. But what kind of labor these people had to do to bring water out of these wells. And type 5 is this, going water level, the steps going to the water level from all directions. So this is that magnificent Baoli known as the Chand Baoli. This is a scene taken from the palace of the same Baoli. The palace is over here. So this is the stories, 13 stories. These are the 13 stories, and the total depth is 100 feet. And this is the geometry. And that is the film I was talking about, the heroine and the hero, and then the heroine and the dance sequence taking place in that Baoli. And over here is the lady, the leading lady standing here. And that is the dance sequence. It was done like this. You can see this film even today. That's another Baoli. Because I have nothing left to say except to show you some example of these Baolis. That Baoli which I showed so complex was the Chand Baoli, but this is Chandan Baoli, so don't get mixed up. So this is Chandan Baoli. And an early example from 2nd to 5th century BC. Some of them are very ugly. The rocks are just cut and not so clean. And these are the early examples. Just look at this. This sword looks horrible and sword looks dreadful. I think nobody would like to go in there today. In this case, the rooms at various levels. So everybody, this is what we have to show you today about the Baolis. Then in Baolis, we belong to the Hindus. They were profusely decorated with various kind of sculpture. A lot of sculpture inside these Baolis. And enormously decorated with these sculptures. And if you look at these sculpture carefully, you will remember that most of these elements are found at the graveyard, which is near Chatta. That is Makli graveyard. The Makli graveyard and the Ahmedabad are so close historically because the southern region is same. So the influences kept on traveling from Ahmedabad to Chatta and Chatta to Ahmedabad. So more carvings. So Kawa is also part of this Bauli. And the brackets and the changes. So I think with this we come to the end of today's lecture. It was quite, I think, not very absorbing lecture, but nevertheless it gave you an idea what is a Bauli and what was a Bauli in the primitive times, and then starting from the primitive times to the 18th century or 19th century, beginning of the 19th century. The Baulis look like this. These are the buildings, or these are the edifices, or these are the parts of our heritage architecture which are almost abandoned today, and nobody is taking care of these elements. So this is what I have to offer you today. So Muslims have built very few Baulis in Pakistani area. The Agra Fort Bauli we saw previously, and then this is the Bauli of Fatehpur Sikri. And around them, at the back, you can see the caravanserai, various rooms and chambers behind the veranda. And this is also the one of the Baulis of Akbar. And this is the Bauli of Akbar, which I showed you the plan of that. That this is the plan of the same. And the Baulis in Pakistan, Jandiala Shergam Bauli, very, very bad shape. So everything is gone. And then the bodies in the Taj Fort and the body Shesha Suri. So that is all for today.